Hello, my wonderful listeners of Amigos in Harmony. I am Carmen Roman. I am a clinical psychologist, and I am here to help you to live a balanced life, an emotional, rich life. Whether you are a leader, a parent, or whatever or wherever, whenever you are, join me today to discuss the topic about near-death experiences. Is it possible to die for a few seconds or few hours and then come back to life? What are the emotions that happen after that? How to recover emotionally and spiritually from that? People have experiences and they have psychological and emotional reactions. Join me today for this wonderful discussion.
Living in harmony is possible if you know your emotions and how to handle them. Dr. Carmen Roman will share with you in an engaging way the current psychology by sharing herself or interviewing experts who will inspire you. Learn how to live a life of fullness and how to recover your emotional harmony with Dr. Roman. Welcome to Emotions in Harmony.
This is a very important topic because it's not often discussed in therapy. And not because it doesn't happen, it's because if the client may feel that is being seen as crazy or something is different with them, or they have this singular and very particular experience. But actually, there are in the United States at least 8 million people who had struggled with the consequences of a near-death experience. Just to be clear, the experience of a near-death is an experience. It's not a diagnosis. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be sad about it. Actually, it can be a very beautiful experience because it can bring very beautiful consequences. But you need to be informed about it. Maybe you already experienced and you don't even know. Yeah. So let's talk about it today. What are the elements that we will consider in a near-death experience? People sometimes struggle with a near-death experience when they are in a surgery, when they are taking the anesthesia, or in a car accident, or in something that is probably extreme. Yeah, something physical that probably is extreme. And they describe that they go out of their body. Yeah, like an astral journey. They go out of their body. They can see from the top. They can see what is going on. They can see the surgery, the doctors working on them. They can see what is going on, the family members or whatever. Or they actually can go to other places with their body. At the beginning, they seem surprised, or they don't seem to recognize that it's their own body. But it takes them few seconds to recognize that. And then they describe also that they go through a tunnel. They describe what is kind of the tunnel of the end of life that we see in the movies, with this bright light at the end. Yeah. They describe meeting significant people, like deceased family members, dear friends, people who care for them. So they describe to have these significant encounters. Or maybe meeting with an evolved person, like a spiritual guide, or Jesus Christ, or God, or a virgin, or something that is probably according to their beliefs. Sometimes it's not even related to their beliefs. They describe kind of also like we see in the movies, kind of in a quick pass. They describe passing through their life, passing through significant moments of their life, kind of a checking how their life was. There is a perception of a border, and that's very interesting because there is a perception of a border, and the way they describe is like, I know I cannot cross. Yeah. And because if I cross, there is no return. So they have this experience, and please, if you have this experience and you ever have that experience of crossing that particular border, let me know, because I never hear of anything like that. But it may be that it's cross a border also for a few seconds. But in that crossing or not crossing, what people report is that they either have a conversation with their masters or their family members or whatever. There is some kind of help there to make them realize that there is no return if they do. It seems to be an aspect of decision making. Yeah. Somebody told me I was able to negotiate. For example, I knew that in this life I was a mother, my daughter was 4 years old, and I was able to negotiate with that entity, which she describes as a God. Yeah. And say, please no, I want to stay here in this life until she's 18. And then she felt that she was pulled back to this life. Yeah. There is this voluntarily or forced, sometimes they are being forced, decision to come back because it's not their time. Yeah. Which is very beautiful, because, that when I start listening these stories, that gives me hope, because I don't know if that makes sense to you, but when I am going to be dead, I'm going to be dead. There is no return, period. That's it. But when it's not my time, even if I am so near, somebody who cares for me, a spiritual guide or a family member, whatever, will gently kick me back, or maybe will force me to go back. So isn't that beautiful? This means we are in this life for a purpose. I don't know, that's just my interpretation. I will let you have your own interpretations. There is the perception, again, of the physical body. They come back, yeah? It's like this kind of snap into their body, which is very similar in the shamanic journeys. When people do this shamanic journey, they describe that it is this back to their journey, to their body, sorry. Of course, there are changes after that in the life of the person, and we are going to discuss that. And sometimes they don't tell that experience to many people. They probably tell to somebody very nearby, and if that person that is nearby judge them, they feel afraid to share again. So it's important that if you have that experience, it's important that you talk to your therapist. And if your psychologist or therapist seems to be like, like what happened here? Just talk to your therapist and see that you tell him or her that you need to see somebody else for that particular experience. And maybe you come back to this therapy. Yeah, but it's important that you talk to a professional who understand that process. So what are the psychological reactions that I have observed? I observe deep sadness because they experience something beautiful. They got to realize that it's so beautiful in the other side, and then they need to be sent back. So sometimes it's a deep sadness or something lost, if that make any sense to you. Sometimes they experience actually the opposite, a lot of joy, because they feel that they have been given a second chance. So they are ready to explore and live to the fullest their second chance. Yeah. I have listened to stories about this particular experience. And for example, I listened to a story where this person is now an adult, but when this person was a child, had this experience, and it passed hours. So nobody noticed. And when they were remember in the Latino countries, the funeral is the same the next day or immediately after a couple hours after the death. So when they were in the funeral, which was a couple hours after, she started moving and she came back to life because she was having this near-death experience. So that was a very small town, and people were talking about her and the family and everything. So they couldn't understand what was going on. So they start making bad jokes about being a ghost or being some extra ET or something. Yeah. So the trauma came not because of the experience. The trauma came because of social aspect of it, which is extremely important. This is why we need to have this information, which help us to question something. Is it that doctors, is that hospitals now, they have certain measurements to declare us dead? And how accurate are those measurements? And I don't mean to question, of course, a whole science or whatever. I just mean to add something about it. It's just like, and are we missing something that these people were able to pass that test and be qualified as dead, but they actually couple seconds, couple minutes, or couple hours are able to get back? So it is a very interesting for our science. And I love science. I love these questions, even though it makes us uncomfortable. So this is the reactions. The people have a diminished fear about death, or non-fear. They lose their fear about being dead because they know that it was not their time, as I told you before. It's like, oh my God, even if I was very ready, very near, it was not my time. So they have this diminished fear. And can you imagine what all of this does to your life? Oh my God, if I am not afraid of being dead, I can just be fully alive. Yeah. They have a new sense, a new meaning of life. They have a change of consciousness. Before, probably they were centered in the ego, and now they have a bigger cosmics. They start loving humanity as it is. They have greater empathy, or they became brave. Yeah. This person that was with this near-death experience, she had a heavy condition that it was a physical medical condition for years and years and years. And after this near-death experience, she actually got completely cured because it was mostly psychosomatic experience translated into a medical experience. So she was like the sickness was gone, and she was able to dance and enjoy and be outside and all of these kind of experiences that she was not having before, and become a mother and happy mother and all of that. And in the other, and another story that I'm telling you is like this, now an adult, when she was a child, she just started being brave, and she did deep changes to her life. Deep, very brave changes to her life. So they have less interest on status, on symbols of status of being rich or have material possessions, or they are not concerned about their social status. They may have a deep spiritual awareness. And if they were religious before, probably they become more spiritual. And what I mean by that is they are less attached to a particular religion and more attached to build their own happiness. Wow. With all of this list, it could be that actually it's desirable to have a near-death experience. No, please, no. Well, at least I don't want to have these experiences on my own. Just, I don't want to wish for a near-death experience. All of these results can be also achieved through meditation. Remember, I am a meditator teacher, so I study a lot about meditation, and the same results can achieve through hours and hours and hours of work in your meditation cushion. So you don't need to experience that because we don't know. Yeah, we don't know if you don't pass the test, or what about if the doctors forget about you or something. So this topic is very sensitive. It seems simple. It may seem even fun, but it's very sensitive, especially for those of you who already experienced that. My only intention is to open the topic to the public. So we talk about it, we explore, we share experiences, we support each other in a better, meaningful life. So if I touch you in any sensitive point, I apologize for that. This topic is for that, probably. So just start talking, share your experiences so we all have more information about it. Yeah. Well, that is for today. Thank you for listening, for being in the video, in social media, wherever place you are receiving this information. Thank you for being there. Recently, you probably are in the Insight Timer application, so welcome to the Emotions in Harmony community. We have a Facebook group, Amigos in Harmony. Feel free to join, to request your entry to the group. We also have a Patreon page if you want to support our efforts in helping our community, helping to empower families so they can be better in this world. Thank you. Thank you, and until the next episode. Bye for now.
We have ended one more episode of Emotions in Harmony. See you the next one, when Dr. Carmen Roman will help us to have a more fulfilled life caring for ourselves and the ones we care for. Meanwhile, visit www.emotionsinharmony.com to see the show notes, subscribe, and enjoy more content.